crimes against me. Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing the mid-year freakout book tag, which I've never done before. I think it's a really good one and I'm just very excited to do it. So stick around and we will answer the questions literally right now. Question 1, the best book you've read so far this year? I actually have 3. I'm cheating. You'll have to forgive me. I'm just going to really quickly run through them now. My first favourite book of the year so far is Open Water by Caleb Azumah Nelson. This follows a young black man living in London and he's struggling with his mental health and trauma and vulnerability, and how struggling with his vulnerability collides with falling in love and how he struggles with that. He packs an unbelievable amount into 140 pages. Literally will never understand how he does it. It's accessible, it's beautiful, the writing is incredible, and I just really couldn't recommend it anymore, so this is definitely taking a top spot. So the next book, if you watch my videos, is probably not going to be a surprise, is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. Look at all these tabs. This book is absolutely everything. Everything I want in my life. This follows August, who has just moved to New York City, and she meets a girl called Jane on the metro, and there's something really funny going on with Jane and the trains. I'm sure you probably know about this book by now, but there is a supernatural element. I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy that, but actually it just really worked for me, which I was kind of surprised about. But honestly, this romance book is just absolutely God tier, 10 out of 10. It really shows you and gives you an insight into how beautiful and warm relationships can be, and not just romantic relationships, but the friendships in this book are just absolutely up there with some of my favourites. I love these characters completely and totally. Everything about this book made my heart feel full and whole, and that, in my book, is a good book. So 10 out of 10. And very quickly, my last favourite book of the year so far is Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellows. This follows Cleo and Frank, who live in New York City, and they meet, fall in love, and get married quite swiftly, and we kind of see them pass through the marital bliss phase, and we see their relationship really start to struggle through things like addiction, mental health problems. So a lot of the characters in this book are not exactly lovable or even likeable, except Santiago and Eleanor, who absolutely should be protected at all costs. They are 2 of the best people. I will not take slander, thank you, but this is a 5-star book and I loved everything about it. And if this is the kind of book for you, sort of normal people-esque, then I think that you will probably really enjoy this. Okay, moving on to question 2, which is the best sequel you've read this year, which is easily Hook, Line and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. This is one of my last reads. Whoa. Oh my god, this book is so good. I literally stayed up till about 2 AM reading it, and the second I woke up at like 7 or 8 AM, I started reading it again. I never ever experienced that. That's not something that happens to me, just to be completely clear. That's how addicted I was to this. So that's a good insight into how much this took over my life, and I think I finished it in about 48 hours or something silly. I love this book. I love this book. This is a friends to lovers romance. I find it really difficult to find friends to lovers romances in general, especially ones that are done really well, and I thought this was done really well. I thought it was really believable. I loved their relationship. I love the characters in general, and I did prefer it to It Happened One Summer, which I think is a bit of an unpopular opinion, but please let me know if you are the same, or if you're yet to pick this up because you've heard not so many good things. I fully recommend this one. It's stunning. So that's my favourite sequel. Question 3 is a book that you haven't read yet but want to, and I'm 100% saying You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emezi. This follows a young woman who has lost the love of her life in a car accident about 5 years previously, and she's now a successful artist. She's kind of overcoming it, and she basically is on a business trip. She's dating someone new, but she has her eye on somebody else and is essentially falling in love with the one person that she can't have, which is something I just love reading about. It sounds absolutely great, and I've also heard really good things, and also this cover is just absolutely one of the best things I've ever seen. I think it's so great and I really need it. I think this only came out a few weeks ago, but it will absolutely be joining my shelves, and I can't wait to read it. So that's going to be happening. So question 4 is your most anticipated release in the second half of the year, which I have a couple of answers for. I'm just going to whiz through them quite quickly. Number 1 is obviously Carrie Soto is back. Is that what it's called? Carrie Soto is back? Yes, Carrie Soto is back. Oh my gosh, how embarrassing. Carrie Soto is back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. I need this book now. I don't think you understand how severely I need this book in my hands. I just can't wait to read this. I'm so excited. Okay, so number 2 is The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson. I read Grown by this author and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And she's clearly an incredible writer. So when I heard that she was doing a retelling or reimagining of Carrie, I was like, yes, please. Also, the cover is absolutely insane. I'm obsessed with it. I can't wait for it. The third book that I'm very excited for, which actually comes out very soon, is Infamous by Lex Croucher. This is a queer historical romance. It follows these two gals. I believe that one of them is bisexual and is caught between her and another man. They look stunning. I'm obsessed with them already. Honestly, I just can't wait for this. I think Lex's writing and their dialogue is so well done. It's so witty and quick and just everything that I love. And I can't wait for it. Okay, now we're on to the good stuff. So question 5 is your biggest disappointment of the year so far, which I have 2, which I'm going to talk through very quickly. Right, come here, you massive disappointment. Be gentle with me. I know a lot of people really love this book, but I just didn't love it, and it was The Atlas 6 by Olivier Blake. I'm very, very sad about this. This was so disappointing. Just before we get into it, I don't think this is a terrible book. I gave it 3 stars, but my expectations were sky high. Not because of the hype around it, but because I got the sample chapter on my Kindle, and it was so good. It was honestly starting out and looking like it might be one of my favourite books, not only of the year, but like of all time. It was starting out so promisingly, and I was so obsessed with it. And then it just absolutely tanked after like page 100-ish. I just completely lost interest. This basically follows 6 magician-like individuals as they kind of fight it out to be the best within a secret society. It's a very cool idea. I was really into it, but I think the problem for me was in the execution of both the pacing and the characters and relationships. Just really, really didn't work for me. I think generally I really like to read about characters that I either really love or I find really interesting, and I just didn't have that with any of these characters. I didn't really like them because I thought they were all quite annoying for various reasons, and I also just didn't find them that interesting. I found them, for the most part, to be quite predictable, and I just wasn't really a fan. The first 100 and the last 50 pages were like lightning quick, and the rest of it was just super, super draggy, couldn't get on board. And also the characters, like, I feel like there was so much potential to make these relationships really interesting and complex, and they just weren't. There was just so much mistrust and double crossing, which is interesting to an extent, but when it's just that and nothing else, I just like don't really root for anybody, and I just didn't really care, and that was the root of the problem for me. So generally super disappointing. Also, crimes against me. Raina could have been one of the greatest fictional characters ever. I think she was so cool, but she was barely in this. Crimes. I feel like we were robbed of Raina, and I'm really upset about it. I think she should have been in it way more, but that's just me. So they are my thoughts. I gave it 3 stars. I thought it was absolutely fine, but it didn't live up to my quite high expectations. The second book that I'm really briefly going to mention is The Idiot by Elif Batuman, which I just DNF'd. I think I read about 50 pages of it, and oh my holy god, this was absolutely a no from me. I don't really understand why, because I love books like this, but it follows a woman who's at Harvard, yes, and it's just very meandering and a bit rambly, and I really just could not concentrate on what was going on because I just felt nothing. I know I could push through it and probably quite enjoy it, but honestly, I just really know that I'm gonna force myself through it and probably put myself in a reading slump, and I don't want that. And yeah, my expectations were quite high for it. I feel like there's quite a bit of hype for this book, so just pretty disappointing. A shame. The next question is your biggest surprise of the year, and that is definitely The 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow. Really didn't think I was gonna like this. I read this for a book club with some friends, and this is not normally the kind of thing I ever pick up, but to my surprise, I absolutely fell in love with this. The closest comparison in terms of reading experience is definitely something like The Night Circus. The writing is lush and beautiful, and the world is intricate and atmospheric, and it's just lovely. It's definitely not so much character focused, which I don't normally really love. It's more about the world and the magic and the feel and the atmosphere, and I just am really surprised by how much I loved it, which is nice because it reminded me that I can really enjoy fantasy. So honestly, we love to see it. I understand why people don't like it as well, but it just really worked for me, and it was so transportive and magical and just exactly what I needed at that time. I absolutely loved it. So easily my biggest surprise. Next, we have new favourite author, which is easily Miss Tessa Bailey. I read It Happened One Summer and what's this called? Hook, Line and Sinker, and I absolutely love them. I think these are top tier romance novels. I really didn't think I was going to like It Happened One Summer because I'm not a huge fan of grumpy sunshine romances, but this really worked for me. I thought it was hilarious. I thought the characters were great. The steam was great. Just absolutely brilliant. And this one, as I've mentioned, I literally couldn't take out of my hands. I was obsessed with it. So Tessa Bailey is definitely an author I'm going to investigate further. Please let me know if you have any Tessa Bailey books to recommend that are similar to these, or if you just have any that you really enjoy. I would really like to know because I just have no idea what else to read from her. So this was a 4-star, this was a 5-star. Really enjoyable reads, really solid romance novels. Next question, is your new favourite character? My answer is absolutely everybody and One Last Stop. These characters can literally do no wrong. I wonder if I can find a quote that sums up my love for them. Oh no, I'm having such a good time. I need to finish filming this video. Sorry. So they're talking about a locked door. Do you want me to pick it? August asks, glancing nervously down the street. What? Pick the lock? Wes says, what kind of feral child are you? Are you Jessica Jones? I just love them. I love them. I love them so much. I could cry. The next question is a book that made you cry. I'm going to say The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, which I really enjoyed. I think I gave this about 3.5 out of 5 stars, so it wasn't a favourite, but I did really enjoy it. Found it really poignant, and the ending in particular made me tear up quite a lot. I shed quite a few tears, and it made me think about the direction of my life and how differently it could have gone, and it's just very strange to think about, and I'm really glad that I read it. And the second book is The 10,000 Doors of January. I wonder if I have a clip of me crying at this. Fuck. Again, I just wept like a little babe at the end of this. Oh my gosh, it's just such a beautiful book with a beautiful ending, and I sobbed my little heart out. So if you like a good cry at something beautiful, this one. The next prompt is a book that made you happy, and again, I'm saying these romance books, these bring so much serotonin into my life. It is unbelievable. They bring relief, they bring comfort. I absolutely love them, and I'm very grateful that they exist, and I can just dip into them whenever I need to. So these three, definitely. So the next prompt is the most beautiful book that you've bought this year, and I'm going to say On a Sunbeam by Tilly Walden. I showed this in my recent book haul, and it's an absolutely enormous graphic novel. It's just one of the most beautiful things I've ever bought. I'm absolutely obsessed with the art in it. The colour scheme is amazing. It just, like, I can't get over it. I will never recover. I can't wait to read this. I will probably read it very soon because I just can't stop thinking about it. This is a queer love story set in space, by the way. Yeah, I know. And the last question is a book that you want to read by the end of the year, and I'm 100% saying Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, which I've never read before. I feel like everyone read this in school apart from me. For some reason I skipped it, and I just really want to read this. I want to be able to understand what people are talking about when it comes up in conversation. I want to experience it for myself. I want to read some Emily Bronte. It's just absolutely something I need to do by the end of the year, so it's happening. I'm trying to prioritise reading classics, and this is definitely one that I want to read. So it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. And there are all of the questions. Thank you so much for watching. I would really appreciate it if you would put your favourite and your most disappointing books of the year so far down below in the comments. I would really love to see what people say. I find it incredibly interesting, so do talk to me down below, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks again for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.